So the next one is joint orient settings. Now joint orient settings looks more like a rigging option. Yes, it is. But let's go and look at the first two options. This might get on too much. We'll have to talk about local rotation axis and all the three: primary, secondary, and world orientation, secondary axis, world orientation. So we'll talk about this when we come to rigging 101. So let's talk about these two things which we can quickly understand easily here. So for that, let's go and create a set of joints here, reset tool, and you can see the similar options are available in the move tool also. So let's just go and create a set of joints there. Once you create these joints, right, you come back to the move tool. By default, automatically orient joints is on. What it means is very simple. See, the round one is a joint and the triangle one is a bone. So whenever you move a particular joint, it affects the local rotation. The rotation of the joint is affected in a certain way. You always want this to be rotated in this way, right? That is how it becomes proper when you start animating. So whenever you edit the joint, by default the other joint, the parent joint, orients itself properly. This is something very cool to notice and remember. The second one, orient joint to world. This unless and until you are very sure about what you're doing, you don't have to do this, but still let's see what happens with this. Orient joint to world. Okay, let's choose this one. I'm going to select this guy. Okay, as I move this, you can immediately see this will orient to the world. Just watch, put your eyes on this joint. As I edit this, okay, touch this, immediately it goes to the world axis. You can see that, right? Irrespective of wherever I leave this points to the world axis. The origin axis that we saw in the beginning, it just points to that, irrespective of whatever is happening here. It just remains there. Good things to remember. And then we have move snap settings. Again, these are very cool options, right? If you go to create and quickly create a CV curve tool, take up a CV curve tool and create a line. So you have all this vertices here. So let's choose this vertices. Reset tool, retain component spacing off. Let's just hold X in the keyboard and snap it here. You can see immediately the whole thing becomes a straight line. Very useful option at many situations. Otherwise, if this is on and you hold on X in your keyboard, it just maintains the same shape and it snaps onto the grid. I hope this is clear, right? And then you have snap live polygon face center vertex. As the name goes, again, this can be easily understood. Let's take up a cube. Okay, you have this here, and let's go and take a copy of this and convert one cube to live. So this cube is live now, and let's choose the face here. Okay, let's double click the move settings, and there are few settings that needs to be reset here. You don't need the soft selection to be on, so let's reset that. So you have the face here turned on. Okay, now with the face on, if we go to face center, snap to live polygon face center. So let's go and move this. You can immediately see this is snapping to the face center, right? Otherwise, if you want to see this more clear, let's choose a vertex. Okay, and if you see this, it snaps to the center of the face by default, because face center is on. If I say vertex, then it snaps to the vertex. So it snaps to the vertex, which is really cool. I hope you get this, right? And then you have common selection options. One is marquee, and then you have, okay, let's go to a new scene. Okay, let's take up a sphere. Very, very useful option. Very, very useful option while modeling. Now let's say if you have a face and you start modeling, and if you go and choose this vertices here, drag and select, immediately you will see this behind vertices also getting selected, right? Now if you keep this on, camera based selection on, okay, and drag this, you will see only this vertex is on. So it's based on the camera, it doesn't calculate the back face thing. Of course you can do this from the attribute editor. Okay, also you have the same thing here, back face culling option. The moment you select the object, get onto the attribute editor, mesh component display, you have back face culling. By default this is off, right? So if I press 4 in the keyboard, you can see this, right? The moment I go and put this on to full, right, or hard, whatsoever, you don't get to see the back face thing. Now I drag and select, so there's no way that, you know, behind faces get selected, and you can start working with this. But still, this is a very quick option to remember, right? So similarly, you have marquee. This is mark. You can just drag and select this, and if you go to this one, it becomes a brush, and you can do the same thing here. You can just drag and select the vertices here, right? And again, only this vertices will be selected. So let's go back to this marquee option, okay, and just drag and select. Press B in your keyboard, left mouse drag or middle mouse drag. You get this fall off radius here. Left mouse drag, you can choose this, and you can start moving a particular area. So this is again a very useful option while modeling. You can just choose, let's come again, let's go into this marquee select, choose a particular area. You don't get the back thing getting selected here, and start working with this. Press B again, you're back to normal. Press B, you go to the soft mode selection. Very useful and quick while modeling. The next one is soft selection. So we have these two planes here. Let's open up the soft selection tab. Press B in the keyboard to put this on, and let's go and choose this vertex. Okay, let's reset this and reduce this slightly here, so you can see this how it starts behaving the more you have here. So let's say this one. The colors denote the fall off area. You have yellow, red and black. Black is the non-affected areas or the least affected areas, and so this how it behaves. If suppose I do the same thing with a less fall off value, then you get a completely different result altogether. This is quite cool, and you have a lot of curve presets to experiment. In case if you want to have your own curves, fall off curves, you can just go and say store custom, right? And the colors can be changed from here. If you are very particular, you can go and change the colors from here, right? And you also have reflection settings. Now reflection settings again a very useful option. So let's go and choose a sphere, okay, and this one, let's make this 8. Go choose a vertex here, maybe press B in the keyboard to put this off. The moment reflection is on, you can see this getting reflected along Y. Let's go and reset this, so you have it along x-axis now, and it goes in like that. So beyond the symmetry, you also have the same vertex getting translated and things like that. But you know, world and object, of course you can easily understand. The default is object. Basically the world, if you make sure the symmetry is lying along the world, then it works fine. But in case if I move on here with the same, see right now if I even keep world option and choose a vertex, it works fine, right? But if I move on here and see the world with the world option, if I try and move this, it doesn't work. But if I go into the object mode, it works fine. So basically object mode considers this as the symmetry, the seam as the symmetry, and from here it starts working. Whereas world, it considers this as the center and looks beyond the other side where, you know, the object is absent that side. I hope it's clear. So you have the seam here. The moment I go and choose a vertex on the seam, press B in the keyboard, it will not be affected, right? It only affects the other sides, keeping the seam undisturbed. Tolerance is the same, wherein it decides how much of fall off area it needs to go on both the sides of the seam. Also, I would highly recommend you to go and explore the other options, because they are almost similar. Like what we saw right now, it will be just you know, redo if I start explaining the whole thing. So I would highly encourage go through all this, and you would be able to get a hang of it. We'll have a quick look at input-output connections. To understand what is input-output connections, together they form something called as dependency graph. So let's go into window and node editor here, right? Or else let's go to a 2-panel layout and put this node editor inside panel. And let's bring in the node editor. Okay, so to understand input output connections, input connection, you have output connection, input output connection, right? So let's take up a NURBS circle. Okay, The moment you take up a NURB circle and click on this, you have the shape node that is associated with the circle, and you get to see this. Just for your quick understanding, simple understanding, we can talk a lot about it, but just for your quick understanding about an input and output connection. I'm taking a copy of this, I'm keeping it here. Now using the circle, okay, I'm just executing. You can immediately see here. See, generally whenever you have the circle, you have this input that's already there, okay. If after taking this copy, let's go and make surfaces and let's say loft. The moment I do that, okay, let's choose the circle, okay, let's switch off the surface, choose the circle here, and you see something called as output that's come in, and that's called loft here, right? So if you have this circle, click on the input connection, you have the shape node, and then you click on this one, you have the loft node. So input output connection together, you can get to see both of them here. I hope this simple explanation is clear for you to understand input output connections. Let's also quickly talk about the shape node. That's very interesting in Maya. So the moment you go and choose this one, let's get rid of history, delete by type and history, okay. And probably the circles, we don't need them anymore. Let's get rid of the circles and you have only the surface. Let's just rename this one to a pipe, okay. And let's take a copy of this. So let's go to edit, duplicate, special option box here, reset my settings, okay, and go to instance, take a copy of this, okay. You have this now here. Let's take this outside and let's rename this tube, okay. So you have this pipe and you have this tube here, okay. Now whenever I go, okay, also one interesting thing, see, generally if you select this and you have this tube and pipe here, as I start shuffling between these ones, right, you have the selection also getting changed there. In case if you don't want the selection to change, right, if you want to remain there, just click on this button. It's very interesting. So your selection remains irrespective of whatever I click in the viewport, the selection just remains, it sticks on to this one. Very useful option. So now again back, okay, let's have this tube and pipe aside and let's go to this vertex mode, and you all know the moment I get onto the instance, it works fine. Whatever I do here, it's getting reflected. So only the shape node is getting instanced. Let's say for example, if I go and choose this and start moving this, the transform node remains independent. See, transform node is nothing but whatever you see here, translate, rotate and scale put together. These three are called as transformation coordinates. See, for example, if let's also see this one, let's take up a cube, let's take up a cone, okay. You all see immediately for a cube you have a cube shape node, for a cone, so you have a cone shape node separately. So you have this cone shape node here, okay. Now let's try for this tube and pipe input output connections. The strange thing is that you see only one shape node here, right? This is what the instance does. So when you actually put in an instance node, you can see this, the moment I go and choose the shape node here, the tube shape, both of them get selected. That is the reason any change with this shape is actually transformed into this one also. It gets reciprocated on this one also. I hope this is a very powerful example to understand shape node and you get this right. Let's also quickly go and explore edit duplicate special option box here. So if I go and reset the settings, most of the things are quite simple. Shift D is smart transform. The moment you duplicate something, right, let's say if I press Shift D in my keyboard and take this here, okay, and I keep on pressing Shift D, it maintains the thing here. So that's what is smart transform. If I just don't use the keyboard shortcut, if I get onto the menu, smart transform, apply, I put this here, then I keep doing apply, it's the same thing. So this we did with keyboard shortcut and this one from the menu. Of course the other things are very pretty self-explanatory, you can just quickly understand all this by yourself. I wanted to go through this duplicate input graph, input connections and instance leaf nodes. So let's see what these are. So let's go into the two panel layout and let's put in this one. Let's take up panel, let's put in a hypergraph thing here, and start creating a cube. That's okay. So you can just create, let's understand what it does basically, right? So we have taken a cube here, and I'll just create a very simple hierarchy here. So let's keep one on top of each other. I'll scale this down, just keep, and let's group this up, Control G, and I'll call this say 1. Okay, have this here. Now so if we go and reset the settings and instance, okay, immediately what it does, if I move this here, okay, as you can see here, it even instances the object node in this situation. Last time we saw an instance without a hierarchy. So when you have a hierarchy, this is considered as a no, sometimes it's a problem, like you try to select and move the individual one, both the things get selected. So you don't want to do that many times, it's a pain. So let's go and choose this. Okay, reset the settings and go for instance leaf nodes and apply, and let's keep this here. Now the problem looks solved here. So this got independent. Only the leaf nodes are duplicate, like the shape node. If you look at the shape node, it works fine for all these three. So the object node doesn't get instanced here, particularly in a hierarchy this happens. And the other one is input graph and input connections. These are very interesting again. So let's go and take up an object, right? So I'll go and quickly set in a key just to show you the difference between this. So let's put in a key there, okay, and I'll just go there and have another key, and in between I'm just going to raise this up here. So as I play this, you see this happening here, okay. Go to edit, delete by type, and static channels. I even want to get rid of this X thing, so I am going to delete selected here. So you have only this Y and Z axis. So I'll go to reset settings here, duplicate input graph, let's keep this here, let's keep this input graph, let's again go to the original input connections, let's keep this one here. Now when I play, it looks as if the animation is transferred into both of these, right? So they all behave the same. But what is the actual difference? So if we get on to this 3-1, if we select all these three, go to graph input output connections, you'll notice something strange here. So it's got a translate Y and Z channel that's animated here, but it's been like shared. This graph is shared between these two objects here. So the first one, the original, and the last one, which is basically an input connection. If you look at the middle one, right, if you look at this one, it's got a complete independent graph here. So if you look at the middle one, it's got a complete independent graph here. So what does that mean? If I go to the graph editor, okay, and in case if I want to edit, in case if I am editing the original animation, say for example if you go and choose this one and edit the Y of it, so let's go here, and if I edit the Y of this, the input connection also gets updated, because basically it's a shared graph. So the connection is basically shared. Whatever connection it had has been shared here. So whatever changes you make gets updated there. I hope you get this. Whereas this one is completely independent. So if we go and make changes here, this behaves completely independent there.